Okay, today's notes are going to be solving one-step equations, but this time the one-step equations are going to have fractions in them. And so we're going to kind of work through this together, but keep in mind we have to remember our rules of fractions, along with our rules of solving one-step equations. So the first thing I'm going to do is just like any other one-step equation, I'm going to split the equation into two equal sides. And we need to isolate this variable x, which means we need to get rid of the negative 2. The way we get rid of the negative 2 is by simply dividing both sides by negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and show my works. Really, I have 9/10 divided by negative 2. Well, when we have a fraction like this, first thing we need to do is take that integer and put it over 1. And whenever we're dividing fractions, I like to think of KFC. We're going to keep the first. We're going to flip the sign, or excuse me, flip the second, and then change the sign to multiplication. Now we can multiply those out, and we get 9 over negative 20. So since these cancel out, we're left with k equals negative 9/20. Okay, moving on. We have 3 and 2/5 equals 9 and 1/3 plus j. So we're going to split this. We need to get rid of this 9 and 1/3. It's being added onto j, so the opposite of that is going to be subtracting. So now we're going to go over here, show our work. We'll have 3 and 2/5 minus 9 and 1/3. Okay, so we need to get a common denominator. We're going to have 15 be our common denominators. Because before you can add or subtract fractions, you must have a common denominator. 5 times 3 gives us 15, so we're going to take 2 times 3, and that'll give us 6/15. Don't forget your whole number. Minus 9, and then we're going to have 3 times 5, which would be 1 times 5, which would be 5/15. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. 6 minus 5 is 1/15. So we get these to cancel out, and then j equals negative 6 and 1/15. Our next problem, again, we're going to split it into two equal sides. It's negative 5 times m. We want m to be by itself, so we've got to get rid of the negative 5. So we're going to divide both by negative 5. So we're going to come over here. We're going to have 2/9 divided by negative 5. We put the negative 5 over 1. Again, we use our KFC. We keep the first, flip the second, and change the sign from division to multiplication. 2 times 1 is 2. 9 times 5 is 45, and we have our negative, so negative 45. We go back over here. The negative 5s will cancel, and we're going to be left with m equals 2 over negative 45. We haven't run into any situations yet, but I do want to make note, anytime we get an answer when we've been dealing with fractions, we must make sure that we're simplifying. Okay, let's look at our next problem. This is the type of problem that gets a little bit complicated. Okay, it's negative. I'm going to shift this negative to the top. Which will give me negative 5 over 6. And that's being times or multiplied to m. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 5/6. We're going to come over here. 4/7 divided by negative 5/6. We keep the first, flip the second, and change the sign to multiplication. 4 times 6 is 24. 7 times 5 is negative 35. These are going to cancel out. We're left with m equals 24 over negative 35. And then our last one. A plus 2 1/8 equals negative 1 4/5. So we're going to subtract 2 1/8 from both sides. These are going to cancel. You're left with A equals negative 1 4/5 minus 2 1/8. Before you can add or subtract fractions, you must have a common denominator, so we need to find a common denominator. 5 and 8 both go into 40. 5 times 8 is 40, so 4 times 8 will give us 32 over 40. 8 times 5 is 40, so 1 times 5 give us 5 40ths. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. 32 minus 5 is 27 over 40. So then we have negative 3/27/40. Okay, I hope that helps with solving one-step equations. Um, good luck on your quiz tomorrow.